Imagine this. You're sitting in a quiet room, surrounded by the hum of everyday life. A thought crosses your mind, a troubling, uncomfortable truth that you've been avoiding for days, weeks, maybe even years. It lingers, nagging at the edges of your consciousness, but you quickly push it aside. It's too heavy, too unsettling. So you replace it with something lighter, something more comfortable. You tell yourself a little lie, one that makes the world feel safer, more manageable. This small deception feels good. It's warm. It's familiar. You're not alone in this feeling. In fact, it's a part of the human condition. But here's the paradox. The more we embrace these comfortable lies, the further we distance ourselves from the raw, unvarnished truths of our existence. The truth is painful, even terrifying. But what if embracing it is the only way to truly free ourselves? Before we dive deeper into this paradox, let's take a moment. If you're feeling unsettled by these thoughts, you're not alone. Like and subscribe, because in this exploration we're about to peel back the layers of our comfort zone. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's to come. Now let's return to that lie you told yourself. It was harmless, right? A simple little story you told yourself to avoid the discomfort of facing reality. Maybe it's something as trivial as convincing yourself you'll work out tomorrow. Or maybe it's something far more profound, like ignoring the fact that your relationship is in trouble. Whatever it is, the lie feels good in the moment. But deep down, you know it's not the truth. You've heard the expression, ignorance is bliss. But is it really? Imagine waking up one day and realizing that every comfortable lie you've embraced has been a slow erosion of your authentic self. You've become so accustomed to these little deceptions that you no longer recognize the version of you that lives without them. You've traded a vibrant, truthful life for something far more muted. A life built on half-truths, avoidance, and self-deception. It's an unsettling thought, isn't it? The very lies that we cling to for comfort are the ones that keep us trapped in a cycle of disillusionment, confusion, and stagnation. And yet, despite knowing this, we continue to retreat to these lies, day after day, because the truth is just too much, too raw, too real. But here's the question that will haunt you. Why do we choose comfort over truth? Why do we willingly accept lies that cloud our perception of reality, when the truth, though painful, might set us free? We're about to embark on a journey to answer these questions, but first, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why, when confronted with an uncomfortable truth, the first instinct is often to reject it? Why does the mind immediately recoil from reality, as if it's being asked to endure something unbearable? Why do we reject the truth, only to embrace the comfort of a lie? As we explore this phenomenon, we'll uncover the hidden psychological forces at play, the deep-rooted societal pressures that influence our choices, and the philosophical dilemmas that complicate our quest for authenticity. The truth may be uncomfortable, but it is in these uncomfortable moments that true transformation begins. Stay with me as we venture deeper into this intricate web of human behavior, examining why we reject the truth even when we know it holds the key to our freedom. This is just the beginning. Don't look away now. As we venture into the roots of this paradox, we must ask what forces drive us to avoid uncomfortable truths and embrace the comfort of lies. The answer lies within the very fabric of human psychology, a complex interplay of survival instincts, emotional self-preservation, and societal conditioning. At the heart of this is a concept known as cognitive dissonance, a psychological phenomenon that occurs when we hold two conflicting beliefs or when our actions contradict our deeply held values. The discomfort we feel in these moments is so intense that our minds naturally seek ways to resolve it. One of the most common methods of resolution is to alter our beliefs to match our actions, rather than change our actions to align with the truth. This is why we might convince ourselves that a relationship is fine when we know, deep down, it is crumbling. It's easier to maintain the lie than to face the pain of confronting the truth. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who delved deeply into the human psyche, referred to this as the shadow self, the parts of our personality that we repress because they are too difficult to confront. These shadows represent the aspects of ourselves that we deem unacceptable, uncomfortable, or painful. But Jung argued that we cannot achieve true self-awareness until we face these shadows. When we refuse to confront our shadows, we live in a constant state of tension, suppressing the very truths that could lead to our liberation. The more we bury these truths, the more they silently shape our behavior, often without us even realizing it. Similarly, Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher known for his exploration of human will and power, saw this tendency to avoid uncomfortable truths as a manifestation of the will to power, not the desire to dominate others, but the drive to shape reality according to our desires. Nietzsche believed that human beings have an inherent desire to create their own truths, to bend the world to fit their inner narrative. But in doing so, we often reject the objective reality around us. The process of creating comfortable lies is a way of exercising power over our own existence, but this power is built on a foundation of delusion. In this rejection of the truth, Arthur Schopenhauer, the German philosopher, presents a darker perspective. He argued that human beings are fundamentally driven by will, an irrational blind force that compels us to pursue goals that often lead to suffering. According to Schopenhauer, the more we seek comfort and pleasure, the further we distance ourselves from the truth of existence. The lies we tell ourselves are the products of our willful ignorance, a defense mechanism against the realization that life is often meaningless, full of suffering, and beyond our control. Schopenhauer's grim outlook suggests that by embracing the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, we might transcend the cycle of desire and suffering. But this, too, requires us to give up the comfortable illusions we cling to. Jean-Paul Sartre, the existentialist philosopher, took this a step further with his concept of bad faith. Sartre argued that people often live in bad faith by denying their own freedom and responsibility, choosing to live inauthentically by adopting societal roles or beliefs that shield them from the truth of their existence. The rejection of uncomfortable truths, for Sartre, is a form of self-deception, where individuals create lies to avoid the burden of radical freedom and responsibility. To face the truth is to realize the weight of one's choices, the infinite possibilities of existence, and the existential anxiety that accompanies them. This is why people often prefer to live within the confines of comfortable lies, which offer an illusion of certainty and security. In contemporary psychology, Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and the founder of logotherapy, provided a more hopeful outlook on confronting the truth. Frankl argued that meaning is found through suffering, and that by embracing the harsh realities of life, especially those we would prefer to avoid, people can transcend despair and discover a deeper sense of purpose. For Frankl, the rejection of uncomfortable truths is a form of escapism, a refusal to confront the suffering that is inherent in life. But it is through facing this suffering that we find the freedom to live authentically and with meaning. These psychological and philosophical insights converge on one critical truth. The rejection of uncomfortable truths is a defense mechanism, a way to shield ourselves from the painful realities of existence. But in doing so, we do more than avoid discomfort. We disconnect from the very essence of what it means to live authentically. And the cost of this avoidance is not trivial. It's a slow erosion of our potential, our self-awareness, and our connection to the world around us. At a societal level, these individual tendencies are amplified. Our culture often rewards those who present a carefully curated version of reality, one that conforms to societal expectations and norms. We see this in social media, where perfected images of life are constantly broadcasted, reinforcing the desire for an idealized, comfortable existence. This cultural pressure further entrenches our reluctance to face the uncomfortable truths about ourselves and our world. But here's the catch. This collective rejection of truth doesn't just impact the individual, it shapes entire societies. When people collectively embrace lies, they create a culture of inauthenticity, where real issues go unaddressed, and deeper, systemic problems remain hidden beneath the surface. This is why many of society's most pressing issues, like inequality, environmental destruction, and political corruption, continue to persist, because we often prefer the comfort of a lie to the harshness of reality, and so the tension builds. The more we reject uncomfortable truths, the more we become prisoners of our own self-deception. But as we've seen from the great thinkers who've grappled with these questions, there is a way to break free. You've heard the expression, ignorance is bliss. But as we've already seen, there's a profound hidden cost to living in this state of comfortable ignorance. The consequences aren't always immediately visible, but they ripple through every aspect of our lives. From our personal relationships to societal structures, the refusal to confront uncomfortable truths silently shapes our world in ways we often don't notice until it's too late. Let's begin by considering cognitive biases, those invisible forces that shape how we process information, make decisions, and view the world. One of the most insidious biases at play in our rejection of the truth is confirmation bias. This is the tendency to seek out and interpret information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs, while disregarding evidence that challenges them. For example, when confronted with uncomfortable truths about the state of the world, be it the reality of climate change, the inequalities in our society, or even personal issues we need to address, our minds instinctively seek out narratives that align with our preferred, more comfortable version of reality. We cherry-pick information that supports our denial and ignore the data that doesn't fit. This process can be so subtle that we don't even realize it's happening. We convince ourselves that the problem isn't as big as it seems, or we rationalize why it's not our responsibility to face it. The more we engage in this bias, the further we distance ourselves from the truth, living in a self-created bubble of reassurance. But confirmation bias is just one small piece of the puzzle. There's also self-serving bias, which is the tendency to interpret events in a way that benefits our self-esteem. When faced with uncomfortable truths about our behavior, say the truth that we've hurt someone, or that we've failed to live up to our own standards, we often protect our fragile ego by distorting reality. We might blame others, downplay the impact of our actions, or outright deny our own role in the situation. This is how we protect ourselves from feelings of guilt, shame, or inadequacy. It's easier to believe that we're right, even when we're wrong, than to face the discomfort of admitting our mistakes. On a neurological level, the rejection of uncomfortable truths is tied to the brain's aversion to negative emotions. When we encounter truths that cause us emotional pain, whether it's the fear of failure, the grief of loss, or the discomfort of confronting our own flaws, the brain triggers a protective mechanism to reduce distress. This is why it's easier to distract ourselves with superficial comforts, like binge-watching television, scrolling through social media, or indulging in instant gratification, rather than confront the uncomfortable feelings that arise when we sit with the truth. This neurological response, however, is a double-edged sword. While it provides short-term relief, it undermines our long-term growth. The more we resist uncomfortable truths, the more we inhibit our capacity for self-awareness and self-improvement. We become locked in a cycle of avoidance, where the lies we tell ourselves accumulate, gradually distancing us from the person we could become. The more we avoid, the more we lose sight of our true selves. And this avoidance extends beyond individual lives to the broader society. The effects of this collective denial are staggering. Cultural conditioning plays a huge role in shaping our acceptance of comfortable lies. Society tells us what's acceptable, what's normal, and what's expected. But what if these societal norms are built on shaky foundations? What if they are comfortable lies that mask deeper, systemic issues? The societal preference for comfort over truth is why so many critical issues remain ignored or under-addressed. We prefer the easy narrative, the one that doesn't challenge us, to the harder, more complex truth that requires us to take action. Take, for instance, the rise of fake news and misinformation. In today's world, it's not just individuals who prefer comfortable lies. It's entire communities and political groups that craft and propagate falsehoods because it suits their interests. These lies gain traction because they provide a simple, reassuring story that aligns with the beliefs of the audience. The truth, however, is often too messy, too complicated, and too challenging to confront. In a world increasingly driven by convenience and instant gratification, the lies we tell ourselves collectively become the foundation of the narratives that dominate the public discourse. And the consequences are far-reaching. When individuals and societies continually reject uncomfortable truths, the collective level of self-awareness diminishes. As a society, we become less capable of addressing issues like systemic inequality, environmental degradation, or the erosion of democratic principles. We become a culture more comfortable with appearances than reality, more focused on superficial distractions than the deeper, more uncomfortable work of confronting the truth. On a personal level, the consequences of living in denial can be just as destructive. Avoidance of truth doesn't just affect our understanding of the world, it affects our mental health. Anxiety, depression, and a sense of purposelessness often stem from a fundamental disconnect between our reality and our denial. The more we push down the truth, the more it festers beneath the surface, manifesting in unhealthy coping mechanisms and a pervasive sense of dissatisfaction with life. It creates a fractured sense of self, where we no longer recognize who we really are because we've been too busy hiding from the person we could become. And what about our relationships? The comfortable lies we tell ourselves can cause real harm to those around us. In romantic relationships, for example, we might deny that there are problems, convincing ourselves that everything is fine when in reality, the cracks are starting to show. In friendships and family dynamics, the refusal to acknowledge uncomfortable truths, like a lack of communication or unresolved conflict, can lead to deeper resentment, isolation, and emotional distance. These personal disconnects grow over time, often to the point where the relationship can no longer withstand the weight of denial. But it doesn't stop there. As we continue to avoid uncomfortable truths, we deny ourselves the opportunity to experience growth, healing, and transformation. We miss out on the chance to build authentic connections, to live a life aligned with our core values, and to embrace the full spectrum of human experience. But there is hope. Breaking free from this cycle of denial is possible, and it starts with a radical shift in how we approach the truth. In the next section, we'll explore how we can begin this rebellion, how we can face uncomfortable truths head-on and reclaim our power, authenticity, and clarity. If the denial of uncomfortable truths is a prison, then the key to freedom lies in our willingness to confront those truths, no matter how painful they may be. Breaking free from the comfortable lies we tell ourselves requires a radical shift in perspective, one that challenges everything we think we know about life, happiness, and self-worth. The rebellion begins the moment we decide to look at reality, without filters, without excuses, and without comforting distortions. The first step in this rebellion is the recognition that truth is not an enemy, it is a powerful ally, waiting to set us free. And while the journey to embrace uncomfortable truths is not easy, it's essential to understand that true freedom lies on the other side of discomfort. This is not a call for reckless self-destruction, or an invitation to wallow in misery for the sake of authenticity. Rather, it is an invitation to align our inner world with reality, to stop running from the things that challenge us, and to face them head-on. How do we do this? How can we turn away from the warm embrace of comforting lies and move toward the cold, unyielding light of truth? The first principle to understand is that confronting the truth doesn't mean we have to accept everything at once. It's not about rushing into the most painful truths of your life all at once. It's about creating the courage and space to examine them, one by one, without fear or shame. Think about the small victories, the moments when you can pause and ask yourself the hard questions. What am I avoiding? What part of my life have I been ignoring? What truth am I afraid to face? Start small and allow yourself time to process what comes up. Each step toward truth strengthens your inner resilience. As Carl Jung would suggest, embracing our shadows, the aspects of ourselves we've hidden or denied, creates a deeper, more integrated sense of self. This isn't about perfection, it's about wholeness. One of the most powerful tools in this rebellion is self-awareness. True self-awareness requires a level of radical honesty that many of us have never practiced. It's the ability to look inward, free from judgment, and confront what lies beneath the surface. Start by observing your reactions. What are you feeling when you deny the truth? Why do you choose to ignore what's right in front of you? Are you afraid of change, of loss, or of facing your own vulnerabilities? This is where philosophy intersects with psychology. Think of Socrates' famous dictum, "The unexamined life is not worth living." For Socrates, self-examination was the path to wisdom, to understanding the deeper truths of our existence. This is the essence of the rebellion against comfortable lies. It's the conscious choice to live an examined life, where we question our motives, beliefs, and actions, no matter how uncomfortable the process might be. But self-awareness is just the beginning. The next step in this rebellion is acceptance. When we confront an uncomfortable truth, it's natural to want to resist, to fight against it. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It means acknowledging reality without judgment. You don't have to like the truth, but you do have to accept it for what it is. This is the paradox of transformation. By embracing what we fear, we gain power over it. Only when we accept the truth can we begin to make conscious decisions about how we respond to it. For example, consider a person struggling with a toxic relationship. The truth may be that the relationship is unhealthy, but the fear of change, of being alone, or of confronting difficult emotions may keep them trapped. But when they finally accept this truth, no matter how painful it is, they open themselves up to the possibility of growth. They can make decisions from a place of clarity, rather than fear. They may decide to seek therapy, communicate their feelings, or in some cases leave the relationship altogether. In accepting the truth, they regain control over their life. This acceptance is not a passive act. It's a conscious choice to take ownership of our reality, to recognize that the truth, no matter how difficult, is far more empowering than the comforting lie we've been clinging to. In that ownership, we find freedom. However, this process of breaking free isn't something you do alone. Community plays a significant role in this rebellion. Surrounding yourself with others who are also committed to truth, who are willing to face their own discomfort, creates a sense of solidarity. In times of struggle, having a support system that encourages truth-telling can be invaluable. This is why the most transformative movements in history, whether they be political, social, or personal, have always been led by groups of people who dared to face uncomfortable truths and challenge the status quo. Take the civil rights movement in the United States, for example. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Malcolm X did not shy away from the uncomfortable truths about systemic racism and inequality in their society. They understood that only through confronting these uncomfortable realities could change be achieved. By standing up to these uncomfortable truths, they not only fought for justice, but also inspired countless others to do the same. This is the power of rebellion, to confront and speak the truth, no matter how difficult it may be, and to inspire others to do the same. Similarly, in personal growth, many individuals have found themselves liberated by the simple yet profound act of telling the truth. Alcoholics Anonymous is a prime example. The first step in recovery is admitting that you are powerless over alcohol, and that your life has become unmanageable. For many, this is the most uncomfortable truth they will ever face. But it is also the gateway to healing. Through confronting this painful reality, individuals gain the strength to change their behavior, seek help, and ultimately find a new way of living. As we reflect on the journey toward embracing uncomfortable truths, it becomes clear that this rebellion is not about seeking pain for pain's sake. It's about reclaiming our power, our agency, and our authenticity. It's about no longer allowing the lies we tell ourselves to define who we are, or limit what we can become. And so, this rebellion becomes a call to action. It's a challenge to break free from the constraints of comfort, to reject the easy lies that have kept us small, and to embrace the truths that will set us free. But to do this, we must recognize that truth is not a destination, it is a lifelong journey. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Every moment of self-awareness, acceptance, and authenticity builds the foundation for a new way of living. Imagine waking up one day, fully aware of the lies you've been living, and realizing that the moment you step out of your comfort zone and embrace the truth, your world will never be the same again. The initial shock of facing the truth is intense, but the moment you acknowledge it, the burden lifts. You feel lighter. You feel free. You feel as though you've been carrying a weight for years, and suddenly, that weight is gone, simply because you chose to face it. This is the powerful realization that underpins true personal transformation. The truth does not destroy us. It sets us free. No matter how uncomfortable, no matter how overwhelming the truth may seem, it holds within it the potential for profound change. By embracing the truth, we are no longer slaves to the illusions we have constructed. We are no longer bound by the false narratives we've clung to for comfort. Instead, we reclaim our autonomy, our agency, and our self-determination. This realization is not merely an intellectual one. It's a visceral, emotional understanding. A deep knowing that living authentically, aligned with truth, is the only way to experience life to its fullest. The truth has the power to strip away the masks we wear, the facades we build, and the personas we adopt to fit into the world. It exposes us in all our vulnerability, but in that exposure, we find a strength and a resilience we never knew we had. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." The ultimate truth, the most powerful realization, is the awakening to our true selves. It is the profound understanding that the world around us is a reflection of the truths we refuse to face within ourselves. The more we embrace our inner truths, the more we can begin to reshape our external world. When we shed the layers of denial, self-deception, and avoidance, we are free to create a life that is truly ours, not one built on the lies we've told ourselves, but one rooted in the deep, unshakable foundation of truth. This is not to say that the journey toward embracing truth is easy or without struggle. The deeper truths we must confront about ourselves, our relationships, our society, are often painful and uncomfortable. But the more we confront these truths, the more empowered we become. It is only by facing the most challenging truths that we gain the power to change the story we've been living, to rewrite the narrative, and create something new. The ultimate realization is this: truth is not an obstacle to our happiness. It is the pathway to it. When we align with truth, we align with our deepest sense of purpose and meaning. It is through this alignment that we can transcend the anxiety, discontent, and existential dread that often accompany living a life of lies. The fear of truth begins to dissipate when we realize that truth is the ultimate source of peace. It is the foundation of inner harmony, the catalyst for self-acceptance, and the bridge to a more fulfilling existence. And yet, the most powerful realization comes when we understand that the pursuit of truth is not a solitary journey. We are not alone in this rebellion. Every step we take toward truth ripples outward, affecting not just our lives, but the lives of others. When we embrace the truth, we create space for others to do the same. The courage to live authentically becomes contagious. By facing our discomfort, we inspire those around us to confront their own discomforts, and together we can create a world where truth is no longer feared, but embraced. We see this in moments of profound collective awakening, whether in the face of social justice movements, moments of personal crisis, or the radical shifts in consciousness that define great historical movements. Change happens when we collectively embrace uncomfortable truths, when we no longer allow ourselves to hide behind comfortable lies. The collective power of truth-telling has the ability to reshape not only our personal lives, but society itself. It's in this profound shift that the greatest potential for humanity lies. Imagine a world where each individual is no longer shackled by the lies they tell themselves. Imagine a world where the pursuit of truth becomes the guiding principle of society, where honesty, transparency, and authenticity are valued above convenience and comfort. In such a world, transformation is inevitable, not just personal transformation, but societal transformation. But it starts with each one of us. It begins with the decision to look within, to confront the uncomfortable truths that reside in our own hearts and minds. This is the power of the ultimate truth, the realization that our personal growth, our collective progress, and our true freedom lie in embracing the uncomfortable, in choosing truth over comfort. So, let me ask you, what truths have you been avoiding? What lies have you been living? And more importantly, what is waiting for you on the other side of truth? The answers are yours to discover, and the only way forward is through the discomfort of honesty. As you reflect on these questions, remember this: the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, will always lead you to greater freedom, greater clarity, and greater peace. When you choose to live in alignment with truth, you choose to live fully and authentically. And that, ultimately, is the greatest gift you can give yourself and the world. As you step into this truth, remember that you are not alone. The rebellion is just beginning, and with every truth you face, the world becomes a little bit freer. So, embrace the discomfort, embrace the truth, and let it set you free.